Right.
So we are live now on Ambedkar Media, Ambedkar Caravan Facebook page, and today we are going to talk with a social policy analyst and a person who has spent a lot of years, almost more than 2 decades, in the social movement, and he has been writing on these issues for some time. And I'm very delighted to introduce Tanuj Meshram, who is an engineer by training, and he was working with the Indian Railways as an IAS officer, and then he had pursued advanced degree from IIM Ahmedabad, and presently he is now pursuing his PhD from Brandeis University in the United States. And the topic that he's going to broach upon is a very interesting topic, and it's a very contemporary topic as we are all locked down, and there is a sort of an uncertainty which is there due to this coronavirus pandemic and the lockdown that's going on. So it's an uncertain time. We don't know where we are going to approach. What are going to be the government policies? So, and what are the responses of the various governments throughout the world? So the topic of today's discussion will be Corona policies, politics, and movements, where our speaker today is going to bring his experience of policy analysis and working with the movements to bear upon the topic in hand today. So without much ado, I would like to request Tanuj Meshram to elaborate on this very important and very vital topic of national and international import. Over to Tanuj Meshram. Welcome, Tanuj Meshram.
Thank you, Mangesh. And I thank you and Ambedkar Caravan for organizing this conversation on a very important issue that we are all facing. And I also welcome and thank all the people who are joining this or will be watching this video after it goes on the Caravan. I guess we are going to record this actually. So as you said, there is a corona, one of the most I would say or worst I would say disaster, public disaster that we in our lifetime have seen in this country and the world. And then how the government, especially the government of India and the various state governments are dealing with that. What is the policy response to that? No policy and no disaster can be analyzed or understood without a political framework, actually without the politics. Every decision and the action is embedded in the politics of the day. So it's important for us to understand the politics. Someone is asking me Hindi madun bola sir, so we will keep हम लोग हिंदी इंग्लिश कंबाइन करते रहेंगे. चौथी बात, whatever is going on actually and whatever we feel that may happen in the future actually, what is the movement response of the movements actually, especially the anti-caste movements that we are associated with for a long time, and what should be their response actually. That's the broadly the framework or outline of the discussion that we will have actually, जो हमारा discussion इसके ऊपर होगा. So many of us and almost all of us now, and especially because of the lockdown, lockdown, that we are aware, what we are in, किस सिचुएशन में हम लोग अभी है. ये कोरोना है जो कम्प्लीटली एक नया नोवेल वायरस है जिसका ओरिजिन वुहान चाइना से हुआ है, करीबन दिसंबर में वहाँ स्टार्ट हुआ है. एंड चीन से लेके तो अमेरिका तक एक्चुअली फ्रॉम द ईस्ट टू द वेस्ट, दुनिया के ज़्यादातर देशों को इसने अफेक्ट किया. मोर देन 3 मिलियन केसेस, मोर देन 2 लाख डेथ्स एक्चुअली, वी आर इन एक्चुअली. और यहाँ अभी इसके बारे में ये कहा जा रहा है कि ना ही इसका इलाज है, ना ही इसकी वैक्सीन है करंटली। जो भी लोग बॉडीज रिस्पॉन्ड करती है, उस रिस्पॉन्सेस को कैसे इंप्रूव किया जाए, बॉडी का उसके ऊपर जो असर होता है, इम्पैक्ट होता है, वट एवर इम्पैक्ट दैट हैपेंस ऑन द बॉडी, हाउ डू वी manage that impact, and how do we help the people to recuperate and come out of that. Actually, that's currently the treatment. And there are many other treatments like plasma therapy, or they were talking about hydrochloroquine. People are working on that. But currently there is no breakthrough. अभी फिलहाल कोई breakthrough नहीं है। तो इसका एक solution जो अभी मतलब इसके बारे में क्या किया जाए एक्चुअली, जो बात चली, तो इसमें से एक इम्पॉर्टेंट चीजें आ रही कि इससे दूर रहा जाए। लेट अस स्टे अवे फ्रॉम दिस एक्चुअली। इफ यू स्टे अवे फ्रॉम द वायरस, and if at all virus comes to you in your body, if you stay away from others, then it will not spread, you will not infect. So first, you should not get infected, you should not infect others. And from there, this idea of what they call initially social distancing, बाद में physical distancing, मतलब लोगों से दूरी बनाए रखे, अंतर रखे, दो लोगों के साथ अंतर रखे, ये निकल के आया। And from there, the policy response had come. गवर्नमेंट का पॉलिसी रिस्पॉन्स ये आया कि भाई हमने लोगों को एक दूसरे से मिलने नहीं देना चाहिए, लोग बाहर नहीं निकले, लोग भीड़ नहीं करेंगे, then we stop all other activities, people should stay back in their home, लोग अपने घर में रहे। That's one part of what we call lockdown, that's one part of the response. जो दूसरा रिस्पॉन्स है, क्योंकि all the epidemiologists and the public health expert, they say that actually the lockdown is actually not a solution to the fighting the virus. Actually, you don't kill the virus by lockdown. Actually, virus will not go away. Virus will stay there actually for some time. Lockdown flattens the curve. It means it gives you some time to take some steps actually, which then you use that time to prepare yourself. What do? You increase the number of beds, you increase the number of ICUs, you increase the number of ventilators. Actually, you make provisions and arrangements for quarantining the people, लोगों को दूर रखने के लिए एक दूसरे के साथ उसकी अरेंजमेंट्स करें, नए बेड तैयार करेंगे, आईसीयू तैयार करेंगे, वेंटिलेटर्स तैयार करेंगे, ये आप अरेंजमेंट्स करेंगे, और ये अरेंजमेंट्स करते वक्त आप ये चाहेंगे कि एक साथ लोग पूरे अस्पताल में नहीं रहे, कम आए, जिससे अस्पताल उसको सही तरीके से हैंडल कर पाए, उसको ठीक। दिस इज एन हेल्थ रिस्पॉन्स, इज अ मेडिकल रिस्पॉन्स काइंड ऑफ थिंग, कि लोग एक साथ नहीं आए, हम धीरे धीरे, जैसे इटाली में वो हुआ था कि उनकी हॉस्पिटल की फैसिलिटीज काफी ओवरबर्डन हो गई थी, द पीपल गॉट ओवरवेल्म्ड अबाउट दैट, so you arrange health professionals, you arrange infrastructure. If you look at India actually and what they have done, I was looking at some few articles, old one on 29th on Live, there is an article, 29 January, it says that India is not yet prepared for that actually, January के end में almost, or first week of January, WHO ने ऑलरेडी इसको अनाउंस कर दिया था कि दिस इज गोइंग टू बी एन इम्पोर्टेंट हेल्थ इमरजेंसी एक्चुअली, एंड द कंट्रीज, नेशन स्टेट शुड टेक केयर ऑफ दैट, शुड प्रिपेयर फॉर दैट। हम फरवरी में बहुत अलग अलग चीजों में बिजी थे। इंडियन गवर्नमेंट वाज बिजी विद मल्टीपल थिंग्स। ट्रम्प वाज इन इंडिया, Delhi elections happened, Delhi riots, very unfortunate thing, it happened in the end of February actually, February went like that. We didn't do much actually about February. We even didn't took a cognizance of that. Whereas, the first case was, found on 30th January in this country. March, May, even in the beginning of the March, the government is kind of saying that, the reports say that the government saying, no, it's not an emergency. So which means we were the policy makers and the official public health departments of this country, they were caught off guard actually, by that. You got February, full February, and you got mid-March up to mid-March, and you got some part of a January, at least roughly 1 month and 3 weeks, something like that period actually. We didn't utilize that period. Maybe we should have started much more rigorous screening actually on the airports actually, we should have started much more क्वारंटाइन आप आइसोलेटिंग द पीपल हु वर गेटिंग पॉजिटिव एंड ऑल दैट। तो हमारा जो पॉलिसी रिस्पांस रहा था, वन कैन कॉल इट डिलेड पॉलिसी रिस्पांस एक्चुअली, डिलेड पॉलिसी रिस्पांस रहा है। एंड सम पीपल अलेज दैट द रीजन फॉर डिलेइंग द लॉकडाउन वाज बेसिकली समथिंग हैपनिंग इन मध्य प्रदेश, जो मध्य प्रदेश सरकार बन रही थी, द एमएलएज नीड टू बी, आई मीन हाउ ट्रू इट इज, वन डजंट नो, बिकॉज़ वन डजंट हैव एन इंफॉर्मेशन अबाउट दैट। So ये एक तो है कि one part is a delay. The second part is your preparedness actually. The governments are gradually ramping up the facilities, governments are gradually ramping up the facilities, but it doesn't seem that this ramping up is of the scale that the models actually, whichever forecasting model they are selling the numbers of that level actually. We know that in India, a significant proportion of the current health infrastructure is in a private space actually. So one is not that there is an inadequate health infrastructure in this country. There are, what is important also to understand is the distribution of the health infrastructure. कि health infrastructure कहाँ है? The beds, hospitals, doctors कहाँ पे है? The 2/3 of the health infrastructure is in urban areas, right? 80% of the doctors are in urban areas. Number one. Number two, a significant amount of the health infrastructure in the private space because the government hasn't invested much. We are still at 1.5% of the GDP. We have invested. It should be around 10%, something like that. And we have India is the country which has one of the highest what we call a out-of-pocket expenditure. मतलब ये कि जब भी हम कभी बीमार पड़ते हैं तो हमारे जेब से बहुत ज्यादा पैसा खर्चा होता है. It's like if we might be spending 70 rupees, so UK will spend 70 rupees, so UK 17 rupees taken UP के citizens, for example. It's a huge out of pocket expenditure है. ये हमारी कंडीशन है. हेल्थ इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बहुत ही इनएडिक्वेट है, प्राइवेट में है, प्राइवेट में है. We have actually kind of the third thing that we should say, and now they say that the corona is one, it is highly infective. The disease का seriousness दो तरीके से जाना जाता है. एक है इन्फेक्टिविटी की बहुत ज्यादा इन्फेक्शन फैलाता है, दूसरा है उसका मॉर्टेलिटी की उसकी मॉर्टेलिटी बहुत ज्यादा है. कोरोना comes on very high infectivity level. It's still debatable whether it comes really on the very high mortality. अगर इंडिया का रिकॉर्ड देखा जाए कि इंडिया ने जो डिसीजेस है, there is something called the burden of the disease actually, the death burden of the disease. There is a report which comes actually, of I will tell you from where it comes. There is a report which categorizes India into, ग्लोबल बर्डन ऑफ डिसीज स्टडी. फॉर एग्जांपल 2017 का रिपोर्ट अगर हम देखें तो उसमें इंडिया की जो रैंक है बहुत खराब है. आउट ऑफ 195 कंट्री, इंडिया इज 154th ऑन द ग्लोबल बर्डन ऑफ डिसीज स्टडी. वो क्या करती है, वो एक इंडेक्स देती है, वो हेल्थ केयर एक्सेस एंड क्वालिटी इंडेक्स देती है, और वो इंडेक्स ये देखता है, इट इज दैट इंडेक्स इज बेस्ड ऑन द डेथ रेट्स फॉर द 32 डिसीजेस दैट कैन बी अवॉइडेड और इफेक्टिवली ट्रीटेड विद प्रॉपर मेडिकल केयर. तो हमारी जो एबिलिटी है टू सेव द पीपल एक्चुअली फ्रॉम द डिसीजेस, जिससे लोग सेव हो सकते हैं, मतलब जिसका ट्रीटमेंट अभी भी अवेलेबल है, उसमें हमारा रिकॉर्ड बहुत खराब है. वी आर 154 आउट ऑफ 195. यू कैन अंडरस्टैंड. आवर नेबर, अ स्मॉल कंट्री लाइक श्रीलंका, इज 73rd ऑन दैट. वो 73 नंबर पे है, हम 154 नंबर पे है. So our preparedness is like this. Our preparedness is very bad. The second thing which is happening in this country is we have a public health system, in the sense the hospitals in the public sector managed by the governments at various levels, and the hospitals which are managed by the private. Actually, you will see that the elites or the middle classes, even like us, actually have shifted to the private hospitals. And there is a poor and the lower middle class who are dependent on the public hospitals. What has happened, and that has happened in a sector that I specialize, actually, education sector. The middle classes, the people who are involved in the policy making, people who are involved in implementation, people who are involved in research, people who have voice, actually, those people have withdrawn from the public health infrastructure. पब्लिक हॉस्पिटल जो है, गवर्नमेंट जो हेल्थ इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर उससे विड्रॉ किया है, एंड दैट इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर गॉट डिटोरिएटेड ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ टाइम एक्चुअली, एंड दे हैव माइग्रेटेड, दे हैव गॉन फॉर अ प्राइवेट कॉर्पोरेट हॉस्पिटल्स, some of them based upon the health insurance actually, very few are. So what happens, the deterioration of the public health infrastructure actually, and creation of an island of the private health infrastructure. Now that's an inequitable health support system that we are in actually. Now, in this situation, actually, now you require a very bold policy step actually of, for the example, saying that, we will ask all the private hospitals which are available actually to be available for this actually. It's like you don't take over actually. So, you don't take over actually, but you kind of enlist their services actually, enlist their services. And I don't think that's very easy. I will give an example. Last week, the chief minister of the Maharashtra was online actually, and he was saying that the private hospitals should keep their hospitals and clinics open. It is coming to our notice. हमारे ध्यान में ये आ रहा है कि private hospitals खुले नहीं रख रहे. That might not be for COVID actually, because they have designated few private hospitals as a different corona treatment hospitals actually of various levels. There could be mild symptoms, severe symptoms. Those who requiring ICU and ventilator kind of. My apologies. Yeah. So so you have this division of this private and public now. Now, in this case, those who do not have adequate funds actually, if they cannot afford to go to private hospitals, now some state government of Maharashtra, for example, came that the testing and treatment of the COVID, for example, will be free. I do not know how far, because there is one is a policy, one is an intent actually, but the second is actual implementation. And I am a student of implementation, and that's very important there. There is a policy intention, but there is a real implementation. I was looking at a video of Thane district president of Manse actually, and he's giving an example, very widely followed guy on the Facebook. He's giving an example where the people are going to the private hospital and they are billed at 1 to 1.25 lakh actually. We don't know how far that is true actually, but perception matters actually. If I do not know actually, if I know, or if I think that actually, I'll be required to pay huge money out of my pocket, then that scares me. That scares me. Now that's one part of the story actually. So the financing of the treatment, what we can call it actually, we still do not have proper clarity actually. Whether you walk in a hospitals and you will get a treatment actually. The second thing which is coming is the decisions to allocate hospitals are taken by the authorities. They tell you, they decide you whom to test and whom to admit where actually. That again is a problematic actually. The few days back, there was a news of a policeman. I'm talking about a policeman in Bombay who got infected, whose son took him to the hospitals. First hospital didn't accept him. Second hospital didn't accept him. The third hospital was also refusing. He finally called the senior police officers, takes their help, and getting admitted. So you can imagine the condition. Now these kind of a news items coming out. This was coming out actually. It tells you that on the ground actually the situation might be much more difficult than it is said about actually. That is talked about. The testing, for example, everywhere people say that test and test. WHO is saying test and test as much as possible. Why? The text is a diagnostic tool that I am tested to check if I have, then that is the course of treatment that will follow. Number one. The second level of testing is a strategic testing. A strategic testing to know that which segments of the population, समाज के कौन से ऐसे घटक है, या फिर आपके शहर के, आपके एरिया के आपके ज्योग्राफी के कौन से ऐसे पार्ट्स है जहां पे इसका स्प्रेड हो रहा है, to know that actually. For whatever reason that we think actually we know, we have not got enough number of kits in this country, and the testing is very conservative. A state like Maharashtra, richest state in the country, few days ago it was 1.2 lakh total tests that they had done. It might have gone to I think 1.5 lakh now, little beyond 1.5 actually. I was watching a video, a conversation of Raghuram Rajan with Rahul Gandhi, and he says that if you really want to open the economy and if you really want to deal with this disease, actually, you should be testing a million tests a day. We call ourselves a superpower, actually, one of the largest trained Vishwaguru and whatnot. Actually, we are actually not prepared. We are not even testing a lakh a day. We are not prepared for that. Actually, we are a country of 1.2 billion. Actually, so our testing infrastructure is very, very limited about that. Is very limited about that. So the testing is limited. The hospitals are limited. They are in a private space. They are more. Just imagine if this disease spreads to the rural area, and that rural parts of that village, actually, that village is around 100 kilometers, 70 kilometers, 50 kilometers away from that. Actually, it's very difficult. And the small districts, we do not know. The small district, you take Gadchiroli, for example, district hospital of the Gadchiroli, how far that hospital is equipped actually to deal with the emergencies coming from the remote Gadchiroli villages in the Maharashtra, for example, or you take, I don't know, some other states you can take and take those remote districts actually. So the rural part of the country is in a very bad shape in that sense actually. Fortunately, because the rural part is not very well integrated with the urban part, the spread is less in that part actually, and they have sealed the borders now. So it's very less that part. But we have this problem now that the rural part of the country, if it suffers, actually, it will have a big problem, because even for ordinary normal diseases, the people find it very difficult to get a treatment actually, and the district hospitals are really of not that level if you look at the small districts in this country, so that's another part of the story. So this is an health response. The next thing that I would like to bring is our ability, the ability of a society or the nation to deal with a health disaster like this actually depends upon the pre-disaster conditions actually. The pre-disaster situation of a country. Uske pehle kya tha? How is your social condition? How is your economic condition? How is your political framework, for example? How is your health framework? We discussed the health framework actually. In a country which is huge, there is a huge inequality actually. Huge economic inequality. In a country where there is a huge social inequality, we are scared to use a social distancing term, because we have seen in this country the social distancing has been an integral part of a caste system and its sustenance in this country. So the country which is plagued by the caste, the class, the gender, and the religious divide actually is in a very bad shape actually to deal with this actually. We have some evidence how this might come on the the people at the bottom of the social pyramid. For example, if you look at American examples, for example, they say in Chicago, the 70% of the deaths are of the blacks actually, whereas the black population is, I think, it's around 1/3 or something of the Chicago city area. The blacks are all dying, and that might be because of their pre-existing conditions actually. Because we are an unequal society, an egalitarian society, we have huge problem of malnutrition. Some of the people might have compromised immunity, though I was hearing other day an interview of a CMC Vellu former principal who said that no, you require very severe malnutrition basically for compromising your immunity. So one is your your nutrition level is very bad. You might have pre-existing conditions. You don't have enough money actually to deal with the emergencies or to deal with the problems coming out of this health emergency. So you are in a bad shape. So you are socially divided. Look at this, how social division is coming now when people are, somehow I might be wrong actually, and I hope I am wrong actually. We often, the middle class, somehow is thinking that whether the disease is coming from the other side, from the poor, the people who are living in unhygienic conditions from their side actually, Is it coming from that side? You already have a distance between middle class and the lower class in this country, actually. A disease, an infectious disease like this, actually, it adds to that distance, actually. It adds to that existing social distance जो है कि मैं अपने आप को थोड़ा दूर रखूं. I was, let me give an example. A few days ago, we were planning to provide a food, home cooked food, to a few people who were serving us. I had to do something, take some part of that responsibility. When the food was ready, I put it in proper my own casserole, and hand it over. What I found was other people who are there in the neighborhood, they put certain disposable kind of things, and I do not know how do you add into that, those disposables were not of that kind, actually. Now that might be one from the health concern, actually. But I'm talking a little bit here about a dignity, actually. When you serve a food to someone, actually, what is the dignity that you are offered to a person there on the next side, actually? That's a problem I'm indicating, actually. We have seen the Tablighi Jamaat example in this, for example. People capitalize or exploit their pre-existing prejudices in such disaster, actually, that they compound your vision, or they blur your vision, actually. You see that these people whom we do not like, probably they are threat to us, actually, or they might be doing something wrong to us, and there is nothing called an intentional spread of this, actually. I mean, there is no evidence that there is an intentional spread by some sections of the society. So that's the problem we are in. So unequal social order, huge economic inequality, unegalitarian and inadequate health infrastructure we are in. The next thing that we were in before Corona was, Indian economy was already in a bad shape. All the people were saying we are in recession, actually, in this year, at the end of this year, the growth rate will be very less. We have a huge unemployment, actually. There were stimulus packages that people were asking government to announce. The government is announcing. It was considered to be not inadequate, actually. ये सारी चीजें हो रही थी, So which means we were in a very bad economic shape already. Now, in that, you have announced a lockdown without much preparation, actually. In a country like this, from a Delhi, a lockdown is announced with only 4-hour notice, actually. It's too bad, actually. You do not get time, actually, to really think, actually, tomorrow onwards I can't go out. Do I have necessary things? Do I have necessary medicines? Do I have necessary essential things, and that information will not pass on to all the people, actually. We find that midnight there was a huge rush on the shops, actually. Huge number of people, actually. That's another interesting policy implication that we should understand, is what is called as an unintended effect, actually, of a politics this year. Whereas the government wanted people to maintain the physical distance, actually. There were at least 4 occasions on which government's decisions have unintentionally led to not physical distancing, but what Arundhati Roy called a physical compression, actually. The more number of people, you announce the lockdown with 4-hour notice, people have gone in hundreds and hundreds of the people have gone to the grocery shops and other shops to buy whatever they want to, or whatever work they want to finish, actually, number one. Before that, for example, the Maharashtra government announced certain, restrictions to the people's movements and all that. Huge number of people gathered on the stations, actually, railway stations, to go back to their places, which is very natural. Any of us will do, actually. Thousands of the people gathered on the stations, and they assembled on the trains, actually, and they went back. We do not know, actually. We do not have any evidence these two congregations, how they led to basically a spread of an infection, actually. There might be asymptomatic cases, but we do not know. The third instance which happened is when our Honorable Prime Minister announced that people should come to the gallery. People went a step further and they went on the road, actually. That's another unintended policy consequence. Some people would say that no, at the highest level, you should be able to anticipate both intended consequences as a good policy maker and the good implementer, intended consequences and unintended consequences. अलग से देखिए कि अगर हम ये इंफॉर्मेशन पास ऑन करते हैं लोगों को, हमारे लोग कैसे समझेंगे उसको? How the people will understand that actually. So people took it differently and they came out, huge numbers. The next time again the same thing happened. When the people were asked to burn the candles, they again came out. And the last thing actually, when the migration was announced, a huge number of migrants actually, some reports say we have almost more than 100 million migrant laborers in this country. Thousands and thousands of the migrant laborers came on the road actually. Nothing was done for them. There was no planning for them that before we announce the lockdown, let us plan their transportation actually to their respective hometowns. Everybody in the crisis, that's a human nature. You want to go back to your home wherever you feel safe actually. That's very natural actually. मतलब इतना कम से कम सोचना चाहिए कि भाई लोग जाना चाहें. Now the next comes is how to ensure their safe transportation. That you leave to the technocrats actually. That you leave to the people who understand the operations. I have been a former railway officer. The railway officers would have figured out actually, along with their health professionals and the security professionals. Okay, we tie up with the origin and destination district administration. This is how we do it actually. That could have been very well done actually. You require first political decision saying that no, the people need to be taken back to their place. Now they are taken back. Yesterday, the decision has come that people can go back with the proper preparation. You could have very well done that at that time. That time people have suffered because of that. And on the reverse, what we have done, we have not done anything. हमने इन migrant laborers के लिए कुछ नहीं किया, सरकार ने किया. लेकिन जो बाहर लोग थे, people who were staying abroad, they were studying or they were working abroad, they were brought back. The students from Kota who go there for IIT coaching, many of the middle class parents send their children there, they were brought back. So that's very surprising. In the same country, one section of the citizens actually, both are citizens actually. The one section of the citizens जो है, उनके लिए ये व्यवस्थाएं प्रोवाइड की जाती है और दूसरा जो सेक्शन है उनके लिए कुछ नहीं किया जाता है. And that really goes against what we call as an equal treatment of the law or equal protection of the law. So this is, and which section it is? ये कौन लोग हैं? Again, they are at the bottom of the social order actually. Scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, OBC. Most of these people actually, they suffered because of that. So one was this migrant labor section. The second are those people actually who live hand to mouth actually. जो डेली कमाते हैं डेली खाते हैं या फिर एक हफ्ते का कमाते हैं एक महीने का. You might have around 80% of the people in this country who do not, all these 80% of the people, अगर उनका एक महीना अगर कुछ नहीं मिलेगा, they cannot survive actually. Majority of them cannot survive for 1 week actually, but they cannot survive. So they are struggling. You already have a malnutritious population and they are struggling now for the food actually. They are begging for the food. They are standing in the big lines actually. They are asking for the food. किसी को ठीक नहीं मिल रहा है. And there are examples. The governments are saying that no, we are providing the food. Delhi, for example, there was a fight during food distribution. And there was a fire in there. The people were not able to tolerate that. Bandra mein case hua, people were not able to tolerate that. The one story of the Bandra which comes is that people were already frustrated actually. Many of the people were staying together, they were fed up, they were not getting proper food and care there actually, they were missing their homes actually. So whether it was rumored that the trains were being run or whether there was a people were already frustrated actually, they came together. It happened in Surat actually. So at multiple places, those things are happening, that people's frustration was coming out in some form actually, because if you are not caring actually, as a welfare state, we are supposed to care about the people actually, and that's the basic role of the people. On the contrary, what we say, whereas the welfare state has retreated or gone back, which we know actually for some time, the retreating of the state, especially since 90s, at least in India, after opening up Indian economy, what we see is basically an emergence of a police state. And that is where we come now to political implications of, lockdown. What you have done, you have closed the people, in their homes actually. You have closed the people in their homes actually. So what you have suspended? You have suspended their freedom of the movement, which is guaranteed under Article 90 of the Indian constitution, fundamental right, the freedom to associate, freedom, associate, they can come together, freedom to associate, freedom for a movement, freedom for the kind of work that you want to do, a profession actually. To a greater extent, freedom of speech is already under threat that we know actually. In fact, uh, some people have gone to the court saying that the migrant labor problem also is because of the fake speech actually, and the court should allow government actually to put certain restraints on the on restraints on the fake speech actually. Whereas we know that there is a one kind of a fake news actually, fake news which is coming actually, which is actually a detrimental, which is not being curtailed actually, in the name of controlling the speech actually, or the press actually, or restraining the fake speech, fake news. Uh, you know, the right kind of a dissent is being curtailed actually. Right kind of dissent, and unfortunately, uh, the judiciary hai, the highest judiciary, we have an independent judiciary, there are separation of powers between the executive and the judiciary, and the judiciary is disappointed. You go through an article in Wire by of Prashant Bhushan, and he gives number of examples actually, where in the recent days actually, judiciary has disappointed us actually, on those issues where freedom of speech was involved, freedom people's right, the life with dignity was involved actually. Article 21, it calls for not just the right to life, but it's a right to life with the dignity actually. So what we find in this actually, the rule of law, the problematic, you find the police beating the people left and right actually. How this is actually, aren't they are not criminals actually, someone might have gone for some essential work, someone, uh, we have so many examples in the initial days, especially, at least certain lot of news items were coming, now they have stopped coming. We don't know whether they are not happening, they might be happening, but the media is not reporting them actually. The police beating the people, the police brutalities, were quite common actually, uh, so this kind of thing. And who were those people again who will suffer the police brutality? It's again the weak actually, the powerless and the weak and the poor actually. It's very rare actually for someone who goes with a big car for some work, essential work, will be stopped by the police, and they might be politely requested, kindly can you please go back, something. But for other people, your straight away your stick comes out actually. We had an unfortunate incident, and I was really very saddened to hear that when Maharashtra minister had asked police to go on tough actually. Some other Telangana government said we will be forced to basically use shoot at sight kind of the orders. So this use of coercive power, or the police power actually, uh, to discipline the people into what is called a physical distancing, is very unfortunate in a democracy. We should learn, from other countries. This really brings to this philosophical conversation between, the trade-off that we are making between the liberty and the life. If you look at the history, many fights were fought for the liberty. People lost their lives actually. Now you're really compromising on the liberty and the dignity of the people. Uh, you know, uh, and that is a bad sign for the democracy. That's a bad sign for the democracy. If your fundamental rights are suspended for protecting your own lives, actually, I think that's a very costly trade-off. Actually, that's very costly. We require physical distancing, but that physical distancing, when we want to have that physical distancing, the participation of the people, the involvement of the people, the compassionate framework becomes very, very important actually. Keeping that in mind, that we have a democracy, we have fundamental rights, and we should respect people's fundamental rights, it's very important. Not only that, these are the state control mechanism. This has also unleashed the non-state actors. Societies controlling their residents, neighborhoods controlling their residents actually, the people of one social groups trying to, bulldoze and control others actually. Because then you say actually, this in a country like this, where the information can get distorted very quickly actually, it gives some people that unfortunate power or tool in their hand, where they try to discipline others actually. And that's very unfortunate part of the story. The country like Sweden, for example, it took a conscious call. We do not know whether it is right or wrong. Currently it is not really going worse actually. It took a conscious call saying, you know, yeah, saying we will not go for a blanket lockdown, because lockdown is a blunt instrument. It's not a sharp policy instrument, it's a blunt instrument actually. And that blunt instrument, whereas it gives you some benefit, it indicates that it is saving your lives. It asks for a much more huge cost for that, the cost of your dignity, liberty, your democracy. So that's the one part. There is a lot of debate around that. There is a lot of articles, philosophers, political scientists, historians. They are talking about that. The post-corona, basically, the word is how the democracy may get reshaped actually in the future. Actually, and that's another sad part of the story. Today the interview of Joseph Stiglitz has come. And the interviewer asked him also, and he also says the same thing. Yes, the authoritarian regimes try to capitalize on the crisis. In the last 2 days, this is the end of the April, when the Mussolini and the Hitler, Mussolini was executed and Hitler committed suicide actually, and that ended the worst dictatorial regimes that we have seen in this 20th century, came to end. And as we find their rise, if you look at Hitler's rise, for example, whatever economic distress and the crisis which came to Germany, Hitler tried to rise through those crises actually. The people's economic distress actually to try to rise through those distress. People don't have bread. There was a massive deflation actually. So Hitler rise around that. But around 23, he gets arrested. Again, the German Workers' Party of that time, it little comes down. Come 1929, and in 1929, so Hitler's influence little comes down. If you look at their votes in the elections, they little come down. They are really not getting that takeoff actually. 29, there is a Great Depression. It starts, the Wall Street collapses actually, and overnight, whatever infrastructure that the German Workers' Party or the SA of the Hitler Nazi Party has built actually, they capitalize on that, and overnight, within very short period of time, with the help of the propaganda people like Joseph Goebbels, they make a huge comeback. 1933, he becomes a dictator there actually. So the crises are, the crises have given dictatorial powers an important tool actually, to increase their authoritarianism, to coming back of authoritarian regimes actually. And we should be very cautious about that. One thing which worries me actually is this actually. So there are health implications, there are implications to our lives actually. There are economic implications, and these economic implications these are coming to our livelihood. But the more important are the implications for a democracy. The implications for the constitutional democracy, implications for the liberty. That's very serious implications. And the kind of coercive tools we have started using. The restraints on the free speech, the restraints on your fundamental rights of freedom, various freedoms actually. The compromise on the right to life, for example. The surveillance mechanism. Who have thought that the drones will be used to do surveillance of an areas? Actually, those drones were not used in the Delhi riots, for example. The drones were used in the Pune. Drones are extensively being used now in Dharavi, for example. Your applications, people fear, for example, some of the applications, like, other countries have used it. China has used these applications, the mobile-based, cell phone-based applications which are coming. These applications might compromise your privacy, actually. So many of the tools which come in the disaster and crisis times, and we know that many things that we even make use of in currently have come during war times actually. So many instruments, coercive instruments, or technology instruments, or innovations, and they could be political, social innovations also. When they come into the crisis time to deal with the crisis or deal with the disaster, actually to manage the disaster, they tend to continue beyond that. People get used to them some kind, in some way actually. And that's the unfortunate part of the story. The another unfortunate part of the story is basically you have this large state which tend to use power more than this competence or compassion towards the people. You have a bureaucracy which tends to I had been a part of that. I was on that side, and I know that you like power more than your competence actually. So you tend to use, and you have a middle class on this side. This middle class, in my opinion, because it got scared because of its health or its lives actually, this middle class is not raising its voice. In fact, it is saying that no, we all should be together. You know, extraordinary situation calls for an extraordinary measures, what they call generally actually. And these extraordinary measures are required. This is necessary actually. I think this is very problematic actually. The middle class, which is supposed to provide directions to the society, and unfortunately, even the Bahujan middle class, especially those whose ideological education either has not started or has not completed actually, to some extent they are feeling that no, we are in a bad situation and we should not tolerate this. This is normal. Every other country and place is doing that actually. We need to be careful about that. Just imagine now the situation that was pre-COVID, for example. Uh, Now there is a survey. For example, if you look at this, Bloomberg has brought a news now. There is a survey which says that our Prime Minister Modi's popularity has gone up from pre-COVID days to the post-COVID days. That's very interesting. Before Corona, you had this anti-CIA protest across the country. BJP was losing elections one by one, state elections especially. It made a comeback in Madhya Pradesh and Karnataka through the different doors, and now your economy was down. So people were actually saying that your unemployment is more, your economy is down, people are suffering because of that. You had this, talk of CAA, your Kashmir, then you have NRC, detention centers, all those things were being talked about. People were protesting actually. Come Corona, everything is gone. Everything is gone. Now the Corona is a far more disaster or stimulus or trigger for economy than whatever was before that actually. So you find it changes. It has changed the political dynamics actually. It has changed the political dynamics. It has also changed the balance of power between center and the states actually. We are a federal country, and federalism is an integral part of a constitutional framework actually. Unfortunately, this legal framework which is used for a lockdown and dealing with the Corona, and it comes from the two different laws. One law is what they call, Epidemic Act of 1897, the Colonial Act, which is actually not the act which was debated, deliberated, critiqued, and brought out in the democracy. One, a small act, and the second act, National Disaster Management. The Disaster Management Act, and which makes a provision for National Disaster Management Authority. So the government has declared or notified Corona as the national disaster and given a power or taken a power to itself. And now Home Secretary is exercising those powers in the name of government. Now what is happening? Your health and the law and order are the state subjects, but this Epidemic Act and Disaster Management Act together has given power to the central government basically to not, to take certain functions in its hand. It is directing directly. It is giving direct guidelines to the states. It is even monitoring that actually. Central teams are going to different places actually. Look at one example. The last week, last week, the central team was in Bombay. Central team comes to the Bombay. It observes what is going on in the Bombay. It's a team led by additional secretary, interministerial group. As a representative interministerial group, it's a team comes to Bombay. Maharashtra's chief minister immediately announces withdrawal of the relaxations which were given in the lockdown. Number one, that's unprecedented. That's number one. Number two, the health minister of the Maharashtra goes along with the team in the Dharavi, to do whatever surveys. The bureaucrats will know. The state cabinet minister actually goes along with the team led by an additional secretary of the central government. That's the kind of importance we are talking about actually. The state, we do not have currently a cooperative federalism actually. The disaster like this requires the state government and the district administration much more freedom than is currently available. Whereas the reverse is happening. Kerala has shown that it can do much better. Actually, it has to a certain extent tries to fatten the curve. Actually, it is successful. People are talking about it. People are praising Kerala government. Actually, now you require more support. The center should come in the picture. Actually, only when the states require support or the different states require coordination. Otherwise, you stay back. You stay back. Allow states to do their work. Actually, allow districts to do their work. You require as localized action as possible. Actually, So this centralization actually is another thing, and this centralization combined with a dominance of a single political party actually, is I think again is not a healthy trend. It's not a healthy trend. We had one such trend during Indira Gandhi's time, before Nehru's time, and this is not a healthy trend. So different state government, different districts have to be given freedom, to do that. The last point, and then Mangesh, we can talk. The last point I will come is, people say, then what is the option for a lockdown? Actually, should we not have a lockdown? I think the call needs to be taken between what is called a blunt instrument of a lockdown versus a targeted containment measures. Actually, I mean, you cannot treat entire Bombay as a one hotspot, for example. The Bombay is a huge place, or you cannot have a Bombay as a district. Actually, Bombay and Bhandara, for example, my home districts, are not comparable at all in terms of the density, in terms of the number of people, absolute number of people which are available. Actually, and the strategic implications. Actually, it's not comparable. Actually, so Bhandara's shutting down a Bhandara is very different than the shutting down a Bombay. And so because I was talking to some of the friends in administration, and we were laughing and we were discussing. They said, that if we really give relaxation, or people will not follow. So you don't trust that people will follow. People will be responsible. Actually, they will not care about their own health. Therefore, we should do coercive measure. The second thing which came out was designing of a creative, innovative solutions require a competence in the administration. It also requires collaboration of non-state actors with the state. Kerala, one of the reasons that people say that the people's decentralization, district and sub-district level decentralization, and the people's participation in a public health, education, and other rural development measures, initiatives is much more higher. Actually, even Kerala tried to involve some of the, whatever research or whatever new ideas which are coming there in the different areas of the Kerala society. Actually, that's very important. Actually, you cannot fight a disaster alone. You have to involve the people. Actually, now in that sense, a localized response, dividing the larger place into smaller. We have a municipalities, we have a rural governments, panchayats. Dividing the larger geography in a smaller geography and involving different kind of people. That's the solution. But the blunt centralized instruments might work for some people, and that we do not know. And that's the point I'm thinking the movement should be worried about. So that's where I would take a pause, Mangesh.
Tanojji, in a very short period of time, you have covered a very vast area and such a complex area, including and bringing us up to date about how the authoritarian governments can raise their ugly tentacles, and you have given a very potent example of what happened in Germany after the Great Depression and the economic failure. The reason this discussion is important, Tanojji, is because, as you said, that the economy is nosediving very fast, and as we know that the countries like China has suffered the worst kind of growth rate. Now we see that the American economy has really gone down as compared to what has happened in American economy in 2008. Now, when we look at this situation in terms of what you have elaborated in terms of the policies, one of the concerns is we need to weigh the implications of the measures like lockdown and how we can secure the health of the people. And you have suggested the Sweden model, and you have also elaborated the Keralite intervention in dealing with the COVID-19. In this particular situation, looking at the complexities and the uniqueness of our country, which is bogged down by the caste and growing communalism, so on and so forth. Can you tell in short, like in 5 minutes, what directions, like it's uncertain time, we don't know which is the foolproof policy measure that the government needs to take. Can you spell out a direction, give an idea of the policy direction that the government should take up in terms of, and then link it up with the Bahujan movement as to how Bahujan movement can advocate those points to pressurize to the governments to implicate, at least create a discussion about that in this country. So a few, one or two policy measures that you would suggest, which can be taken up by the Bahujan movement and, pressurize the governments and the society and maybe even civil society to look into that.
I think the major thing which is very important is the blanket lockdown that I have been calling. The blanket lockdown should not be extended, number one. We require a very focused, targeted lockdown, okay, which means as narrow as possible, identify the zones actually. Those could be wards, those could be mohallas, those could be residential societies, those could be villages actually. Identify them and deal them at that level actually, so which means you require an empowerment of the states and the district. The central government must gradually withdraw from here and become only a supporter and the coordinator between different states. You require an international help, get involved. We know that in the constitutional framework, there's a clear-cut division. Residual powers are with the central government, the foreign affairs, the monetary policy, and those things are with the central government. You deal with that, provide them finances. Kerala government wanted, for example, it dues on the GST, provide them. So the central government has to withdraw from this. That's one most important thing which has to be done. Actually, one. Because many people say that now it is not just one central government, it's only a PMO which is running entirely. Our honorable prime minister's working style, people say that he works with the very senior experienced bureaucrats quite well actually than with the cabinet and council of ministers actually, and that's have been repeatedly written and talked about actually, that style, and it is already overburdened, So you require withdrawal of the central from this, one is the withdrawal of the lockdown. Second, the central government must step back and say, hey, states, you take over. Let us know what help you require. Number two. Next level, the state government themselves have to empower the districts actually and the municipal corporations actually, and say that you have to deal at your level. You tell us, this is the PPEs that we'll provide. These are the, our hospitals have to be ramped up, improved. These are the public health infrastructure has to be improved. This is the help we'll provide. I have been doing study on the education, and I found district doesn't have any right. We talk about a lot of 73rd and 74th Amendment actually. The district government doesn't have much powers actually, not at all. Even the districts are not allowed to implement the same policies that the state wants them to implement. So they are not allowed actually in a very free way actually. So that's a problem. So we require a really genuine decentralization the way Kerala. That's the Kerala way of doing actually, and that's where you find many times the districts come out with their own innovations actually. So that's the second thing I would say. The third thing I would say is, and this is for Bahujan movements, the Bahujan movements have to be very careful that their eyes not only should be on their lives actually, but their eyes also should be the life with the dignity after Corona. So there is a philosophical paradox that the movements have to deal with between the life and the democracy, life and the liberty actually. Now I would say that all the movements of the structural change in the past, they have prioritized liberty over the life actually. Liberty over life actually. So the movements have to prioritize, because if you compromise liberty today, it reduces your ability to survive tomorrow. And that survival is a much more, or that threat to survival is a much more safer than the virus, this virus actually, So the anti-democratic virus is a much more dangerous than the coronavirus actually. The movements have to get hold of this thinking actually. It's very, very important actually, At some point of time, you have to take a call, Now people say that, the corona might take a very bad shape in the India. We do not know, because this is, we do not have any historical data about corona. We do not have even comparison. We can't compare Italy's example with India. You can't compare US example with India's climate, India's demography. Indians' bodies are far different than they are. Till now, there are 13 weeks. The government of Maharashtra in its reports has given the comparison between India and the different countries. 13 weeks, the data doesn't compare actually. Our graph is much more slowed, and this is despite, you can't say there is 100% lockdown. There is a certain amount of leakage actually. So we shouldn't also get scared too much about that. People say that virus will not go away. We have to learn to live with the virus. We have to learn to live with the virus. We might have to pay certain cost for that actually. But it cannot be the cost of the democracy. It cannot be the cost of the liberty. That's very important. So I would say the movements have to understand this, and it is not just economy hai, economy thoda sa compromise kar. It's not economy. It's your material life. Your 80% of the people are not able to survive. They are in the stress, their mental health, their health will get deteriorated. Their ability basically to support the movement and support the democracy comes down actually. You cannot make them a beggar just to bake the food and just survive. Mujhe khana chahiye. That you cannot bring the people's dignity at that level actually. It's very bad. So I think movement has to take note of this actually. My hunch is, unfortunately, movements have not whatever movements network that I have been accessing actually, the movement have got overwhelmed by the health threat and not by the threat to the democracy. Mangesh?
Yes. Tanojji, I think it was a very profound insight that has come up at the end of it. Now we are nearing to the end of the discussion today, but the key insights from your presentations are like the Bahujan movements need to be also aware of the growing threat, which was always there in terms of the social virus that we encounter everywhere, wherever we go, even during the time of the epidemics or pandemics. Okay.
Yeah. So, many times we see that no, the movements can wait, the politics can wait, all the things we can take care of later. What we need to understand is, during disaster or the crisis like this, actually, the more democracy is better, actually. The more the democracy you have, the more the better free discourse that you have, the more the constructive critique that you have, the more participation that you have, the collective ability of a society to fight with the disaster and the crisis goes up actually. So it is actually by talking like this, by taking up this issue, by being aware about this, by educating the people, you are actually not going against that collective will actually to fight the virus, collective will to fight the disaster. You are actually helping that do, So that's a very important point I thought I should bring up.
It's very, very important to have this kind of a collective thinking, and people at large, the citizenry at large, should know which are the different policy options that are there on the table and what they can choose from. I think it's high time we think about very different policy options and think through the solutions, at the same time revitalize the revolution, the social movement which is going on in this country, to secure the constitutional values of liberty, equality, and fraternity. Tanojji, we are very pleased to have you here, and we know that the audiences might have learned a lot from your policy analysis of the crisis and policy analysis and the take on the crisis, how we can move forward, what are the responsibilities of the movements, the individuals, and the societies. I think we have very important sort of a period. The crisis can go either way. It can either churn up the society into a very positive direction, or it can really drain us down to the path that leads to a lot of suffering, not only because of the virus, but because of the human virus in the form of the caste, communalism, race, and the gender discrimination. Thank you so much, Tanuj ji, for joining you. We will be requesting you to join us again for the further discussions. And audiences, thank you so much for being there, listening to us. And we will be bringing out more of this sort of insightful discussions and very erudite speakers to you in the course of our journey from here onwards. Thank you, Tanuj ji. Thank you for joining in.
Thank you, Mangesh. I would just
please go on.
No, I thought I will tell a quote of Baba Sahib and just say bye. Baba Sahib said, "Conscious and determined minority always creates conditions in its favor over an amorphous and ignorant majority." It's very pertinent. It not only creates, it also exploits the conditions in its favor. Actually, we need to be very careful about this conscious and determined minority movements. Have to remember this actually, and that's my last take. Thank you, Mangesh.
Can you elaborate in Hindi as well so that our India audience will get the gist of what you have just said?
बाबा साहब को किसी ने कहा था, पूछा था कि इस देश की जो समस्या है, क्या इसे आप एक सेंटेंस में बता सकते हैं, एक वाक्य में बता सकते हैं? बाबा साहब ने कहा था कि यहाँ एक कॉन्शियस एंड डिटरमाइंड माइनॉरिटी है, एक जागरूक और बहुत ही दृढ़ निश्चयी एक माइनॉरिटी है, अल्पसंख्यक वर्ग है इस देश में, जो जो हमेशा अपने फेवर में कंडीशंस क्रिएट करता है। किसके खिलाफ? एक इग्नोरेंट एंड एमॉर्फस मेजॉरिटी है, जो अज्ञानी है, जो जागरूक नहीं है, और जो बिखरा हुआ एमॉर्फस है, बिखरा हुआ माइनॉरिटी। ये माइनॉरिटी वर्ग जो है, ये अल्पसंख्यक वर्ग जो है, दृढ़ निश्चयी और जो जागरूक वर्ग है, ये अपने फेवर में हमेशा कंडीशंस क्रिएट करता है। मैं कह रहा हूं कि कंडीशंस क्रिएट भी करता है, और जो कंडीशंस अवेलेबल होती है उनको एक्सप्लॉइट भी करता है अपने फेवर में। एंड देयरफॉर द मूवमेंट ने बहुत जागरूक रहना चाहिए कि भाई कहीं ऐसा ना हो कि ये जो जागरूक और दृढ़ निश्चयी अल्पसंख्यक वर्ग है, इन परिस्थितियों को अपने फेवर में एक्सप्लॉइट नहीं करे। जागरूक रहिए, जागते रहिए, जो बाबा साहब ने कहा था।
Thank you so much, Tanuj bhai, and see you soon.